I saw you and your daughter sitting and chatting, right? And I know all that I've heard and what we read about and all that. And I mean, I'm an employee, I work for your company, you know, and I just want to know from you, what is going on? What is the stories about Sekunjalo's accounts being closed and all of those kind of things? We always hear from the other side, from the media and all of it. But from you, can you just tell me as one of your employees, what is going on and how will this affect me and many, many, many other people?
Look, I mean, I think the reasons are for the accounts being closed. If you look at what FNB's closing of the AYO account, which is a subsidiary of Sekunjalo, is that they've given no reasons. They've simply exercised their power to close the account. With regard to ABSA, that process, they based the entire decision to close on media articles which appeared principally in other publications of our detractors. So this whole thing is very, very much about, in my view, about three things. The first, we are the most transformed company in the country on scale, and people don't want to see transformation succeed. So that is the first thing.
Sorry, who are these people?
I think it's largely, the establishment, the guys that control the economy out there. And they, of course, have their political fronts that front for them. So the first thing is that it's very much there seems to be a roll back of the gains that have been made in transformation under the new leadership of President Ramaphosa. What's happening is that people that have become emboldened, that are part of the establishment, to actually not do transformation anymore. So that's what we're experiencing. The second reason is very simple, is that we own independent media. Independent media is one of the largest media groups in the country. And independent media has been able to give all sides of the story. So politically speaking, it's providing a narrative which is balanced. It's showing things which are uncomfortable for powerful people that are in power. And people don't want that. Those people don't want that. They only want to have a singular narrative. Now, we, as a group, we can't, we just had our editors' conference, and in public to my editors, I said, they must do the right thing. They must expose whomsoever, including myself, if ever that happens, then I do something wrong. Because we cannot, our duty is not to protect the powerful and the wealthy. Our duty is to protect the poor and to help our country to overcome these difficulties. And so it does mean, in doing so, we are making powerful people angry. We expose, for instance, the PPE corruption. We expose the Cyril Ramaphosa bank statements. We've exposed the Eskom corruption. We've exposed so much in the last while. So that has made a lot of people angry at us. The reality is all the other media are not prepared to do these things, because one is they're either being paid by the establishment, or secondly, they are too afraid. And in a way, the pressure being put on myself is a kind of an example being made to other media. You either toe the line, or if you see what happens to Dr. Survé, we'll do the same thing to you and your businesses. So that's the second thing that's going on. I think the third thing that we're facing is that there's a huge political divide in the ANC. Huge political divide. The way that divide has been presented to people is a for corruption against corruption divide. The truth of the matter is that on both sides of that divide, there are good people and there are corrupt people. And no one side of that divide is innocent of anything. And so that fight for political power, where the new president is going to be elected next year in 2022, at the ANC conference, that is playing itself out now. And the factions are using their power to put pressure on us. Now, we've got nothing to do with these political factions, other than the fact that we have the media investment. And so, having a media investment at this point in time is one of the most challenging things to do. So what we're seeing is this political power play and quite frankly, we are collateral damage in this fight. We have thousands of employees, thousands of their families and dependents. And what is so sad is that these powerful people that are playing dirty and that are using their power to influence things like the banks, state institutions and others against us, they don't care about our employees. They don't care about their families. They don't care that, for instance, by withdrawing bank accounts, you're basically saying the business has no right to trade. The business has no right to exist. Now, during apartheid, that happened. Black businesses couldn't get licenses to trade. They couldn't get bank accounts. They got no support from the institutions. We're seeing ourselves back in that situation again. We are being discriminated against. For what reason, nobody knows. No one has come up to say, this is what you have done wrong. No one has been able to say very specifically. It's all hearsay based on media reports and stuff like that. No one has pointed out one thing that we have been found guilty of. We have been involved in corruption. We have been involved in any money laundering, illicit flows, or whatever. I mean, those are normally the reasons why banks close accounts. Of course, what we're seeing in this country right now, the banks are powerful. There are 5 of them. They're pretty much a cartel, and they're exercising their economic power, financial power, to shut out black businesses. Of course, we are not the first. Many other black businesses over the last few years have had their bank accounts closed. I'm not sure for what reason, but we are the first that can fight back, and hence we have taken FNB to court, we have taken ABSA to court, and we have constitutional rights. We have the right to trade, the right to equality, the right not to be discriminated again, and those rights were fought hard to be included in our constitution. So we believe that if the courts are fair and they are not influenced in any way, these constitutional issues will certainly have to be considered, because you cannot have a situation where there's a cartel of banks that are able to decide who in this country should or shouldn't have a business, and who should or shouldn't benefit from that business. And I'm talking about the employees now. So yes, it is quite sad that we're at this point where banks are becoming political, where they're interfering in the political process of the country. But I guess they've become emboldened under the current leadership, that they can do these things. They're not afraid to do it anymore. And I think that's, the first signs of an authoritarian political and economic state. Someone in my group at my editors' conference mentioned to me last week in Durban, "Doc, do you believe we're entering a mafia state?" Well, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that we're entering a mafia state. But when banks act like this, when politicians act abusing state institutions against the public in general, then I think those are the beginnings, the symptoms of a mafia state. And we're heading down a slippery slope, which is very dangerous for democracy, for media freedom, and for our country.
Thanks, Doc. That clears a little bit of the things that I was just wondering, what the hell is going on, Anyway.
Is it helpful?
Yeah, no, definitely helpful.